Hi, my name is Alexis Willis, and I'm going to be hopefully answering some of the questions that you might have about the Synoptic Gospels. So, I just want to explain to you some things that you might want to take into consideration when you're reading the Synoptic Gospels. As you may know, if you've read the Synoptic Gospels, they're not written chronologically. And the reason that these Gospels are not written chronologically is when they were being written down, when the authors were writing these, it didn't matter. The people who were going to read them in the future did not care if they was what order they was written in. All they was looking for was the answer. They didn't care if it was A plus B equals C or B plus A equals C. As long as they got the right answer, it didn't matter to them. Another thing you may notice is the Synoptic Gospels are very similar, but there's also some major differences. And I'm going to explain to you why there are these big differences, but they're also so similar. So the Synoptic Gospels, while being written along the same time period, they're written by 3 different people. I mean, if me and my mother and my father were to go to an event and we took notes on this event the whole time, chances are we would have a lot of differences in our notes. We would have a lot of the same stuff because we seen the same thing, but there's also going to be a lot of differences in the way it's written down and the way we've seen things because our perspectives are different. There's a lot of paraphrasing in these that we might not know about, but in this time, it really, like I said, as long as they got the answer that they was looking for, it didn't matter how it was written down. So there's a lot of paraphrasing, and the reason for this is as long as they got what happened, they got the main idea, they got the gist of what happened, the readers didn't care. Now, if they got it wrong, there was a lot of eyewitnesses on all of these accounts. So if they were to get their information wrong, someone was going to confront them about it. There was way too many people there that saw what happened that they couldn't put false information down. So yes, there is a lot of paraphrasing, but everything in these are true. Something I would also like to touch on while explaining what you need to be thinking on when you read these is how to read them. These Gospels, even though we read them by chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, they're originally not written like that. That is something that people later have added. These Gospels were written as letters. So the people who got these Gospels originally, they would take them and they'd read them just like a letter. When you get mail, you read the whole thing in one sitting. That's how these were originally meant to be read, is they got it and they read it right then. So if you would like to have a better understanding of this, yes, there are many other things you can do to try and get a better understanding. You can study these a lot more in depth, but just read them all the way through. I mean, like they were meant to be read. Take Matthew, take some time and just sit down and read all of Matthew. Mark, take some time, sit down and read all of Mark. They're meant to be read in one sitting. So I feel like if you would do that, then you would get a lot more better understanding. You wouldn't stop and read again. You wouldn't stop and read again. I mean, you would just get the whole thing. Another big question that arises, and it's the last thing I'm going to be discussing, is what order was the Synoptic Gospels written in? And the answer to this question is we really don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different theories, but my favorite theory, and the one that I believe and a lot of people believe, is the Markan priority is what it's called. And the Markan priority is the theory where Mark was written first and then Matthew and Luke grabbed a little bit of Mark themselves and wrote their own book. So to try and break this down, because I'm not good at explaining it, is we have Mark, who we believe was written first, so way up here at the top. And then Matthew and Luke wrote their books, and you're going to find a little bit of Mark in the book of Luke. And by that, I mean some of the things said are going to be very similar and often the same. And the same with Matthew. You're going to have a lot of stuff that happened in Mark happen in Matthew. But what you really don't find is the same stuff between Matthew and Luke. So what we believe is Mark was written first, and Matthew and Luke used Mark, but they also used other sources. So, like, say Matthew was in a place that Luke wasn't. Matthew's going to get more of that information. So that is what we believe. And like I said, this isn't written in stone. The Markan priority is not written in stone. There's also many other theories, but that is the one I personally believe. You are welcome to look into those more thoroughly yourself, but that is all I have for you today.